Nice to see a full house and smiling faces. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Young man, what's your name?
Ephraim.
Ephraim. All right. Oh, there it is. Well, please lead us. The flag's over here, my friend. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done. Thank you. All right. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I'll motion.
All right. All in favor? No. Second. Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. The agenda is adopted as presented. Number 8 on our agenda tonight is we're going to do student, staff, community recognition. Elizabeth.
I am so glad that we have a full house tonight, and I'm going to ask Principal Natalie Zisco from El Granada School to come up and explain why we have such a full house tonight. She has some wonderful recognitions to make.
Welcome.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Hi, Papalardo, members of the board.
Good to
I'm
see you.
a very, very proud principal tonight as we do our El Granada recognitions. I have 2 groups of people to celebrate tonight. First, we'll do a parent group, parent volunteers, and finally we have a student recognition. And you know, on the way to the board meeting tonight, I was thinking about the content of these recognitions, and I think what we're really celebrating tonight at El Granada is the everyday hero that makes our school a great place to be and a great place to learn. So with that being said, we'll proceed with the parent recognitions. Tonight we recognize members of our ELAC board and our PTO board. Last year, in a very sort of grassroots way, they got together over coffee and many coffee dates and began to build some bridges between our ELAC community and our PTO community. And in building those bridges over the course of 2 years, they have developed a very beautiful friendship. And they have truly redefined what it means to be a parent volunteer at El Granada. And our school, our culture and climate for parent volunteers has changed drastically. We are really a united group because of them, and we are all so, so proud of them. And there's a lot of intangible rewards that come with that sort of culture and climate feel, but one of those very tangible things are the school auctions. Last year, and as part of their efforts, we had our first turnout of a diverse parent group come to our auctions to celebrate our students, which was such a wonderful event in and of itself, and this year was taken to a whole new level as their work continued. We had the most amount of parents ever come to our school auction this year, and the biggest diverse turnout. We talked, we celebrated, we danced. I told the admin team I had to dance more for my senior prom. Like, it was just a party, and it was a beautiful thing to see because, you know, it was a fundraiser in and of itself, but most importantly, it's a celebration of our kids and the love we all have for our kids. And so we couldn't have done it without these wonderful women who have really led the way and brought many, many parents with them in that path. So tonight we'll celebrate them, and I'll go ahead and call them up. Johanna Navarro. Gabriela Camacho Garcia. Caroline Nato. Josefina Godoy, our ELAC president. Let's just take a picture.
Thank you.
And our PTO president couldn't make it tonight, Shannon Parsons. So give a round of applause to her. For our second recognition tonight, this one it definitely pulls personally on my heartstrings. We're going to recognize a student tonight who's been at our school since kindergarten, Ephraim Burhan. He's in 3rd grade now, and to watch this child sort of grow up at our school has been a very, very beautiful thing. He has come a very long way. Tonight we are celebrating his leadership, but aside from his leadership, he's a caring kid, he's a generous kid, he is kind to others, and he's a model of what it means to be a good citizen. Ephraim has shown leadership this year in his classroom by leading his book club group and also by helping us with the talent show and helping to be a successful night. Most of all, we just love him and we're so proud of him, and we want to really recognize him in this very public way And we love him so much that his kindergarten teacher came out, Mrs. Teig, his second grade teacher came out, Mrs. Ladd, Nick Rotnewsky from Special Education Behavioral Services came out. And so we're a community, and we love this child so much, and we are so proud of him, and he's going so many places with his life. So tonight we celebrate Ephraim Burhead.
Okay, hang on 1 minute. I just want everybody to give him a standing ovation so he knows how awesome it is to be recognized.
If you don't mind, I'm going to do that same presentation in Spanish with my colleague, Ms. Dardanelle, because Ephraim's mom speaks Spanish and I want to participate in the event.
Sure.
Ephraim, stay here with Miss Cisco. We
Ms.
want a
Dardanelle is going
picture.
to say the same thing in Spanish so your mom can hear.
Queremos celebrar Efraín porque tantas personas quieren tanto de él en la escuela, porque ha tenido tanto liderazgo en la escuela desde kinder hasta ahora que está en tercer grado. Y los maestros de estos años está aquí también, su maestra de kinder está aquí, la maestra de segundo grado también, y también la maestra del tercer grado están aquí, y también y la otra persona que está en los servicios de comportamiento que está aquí también, porque tantas personas quieren tanto de él en su liderazgo, también es tan cariñoso y estamos tan orgullosos de él. Okay. Gracias a ustedes por venir aquí también.
Thank you very much.
That's all recognition for tonight, right, Elizabeth? Okay, great, thank you. All right, now we're going to do comments from the public related to items not on this agenda, and we have 5. Let's update that number, 6, 7, 8. Let me group these. Okay. These are all items on the agenda. Okay, so we'll separate those. All right, so we have 5 comments on 2 topics, so I'll group them. Appreciate everybody coming to speak tonight. Just a reminder, the board isn't able to interact or have a conversation on items not on the agenda. We certainly are listening, and we appreciate it. Keep your comments to about 3 minutes to share your thoughts. And the first person is Armando Lopez. Armando, can you come up, please? Welcome.
Hi, good night.
Hi.
It's better for me speaking Spanish. Can you facilitate an interpreter? Patricia, ¿puedes ayudar? ¿Podría hacerme el favor?
Thank you, Joy.
I mean, unless Patty.
Whatever.
Oh, sorry, Patty. That wasn't.
No, no.
If you choose, okay.
It would be better
So
if
that-
you Joy, so that Patty can continue to take your notes.
Buenas noches, señores. Durante algún tiempo, un poco más de 5 años, he trabajado junto con varios padres de familia en el grupo ILAC.
Good evening. For the past 5 years, I've worked with many parents in the ELAC committee,
Tratando de integrar a nuestros padres al sistema educativo, tratando de que nuestros hijos sean cada día mejores estudiantes.
trying to get parents involved in the educational life of their students and trying to make it so that their educational life is better.
Pero últimamente nos estamos dando cuenta que con cierta tristeza, cierto frustración, que todo lo que nosotros vamos logrando tal vez nos están poniendo demasiadas trabas para que esto se logre.
Otra vez, ¿puede repetirlo? Okay, gracias.
Ah,
We've been feeling a little frustrated,
sí, un poco frustrados por todo lo que trabajo que estamos realizando. Hemos encontrado bastantes trabas en lo que para lograr la meta que nosotros queremos, tener unos mejores estudiantes.
okay, because we've been putting in so much work to try to make a better life for the students.
Sí. En esta ocasión vengo para pararme aquí frente a ustedes, para hacerles saber mi inconformidad y la conformidad de los padres que represento. En el último reunión del Consejo Escolar de High School nos comentaban que va a haber reducción de consejeras.
I'm here to represent the other parents who are part of ELAC to talk about what happened at the last committee meeting at the high school and about a reduction in the counselors.
Sí, quiero expresarles que en lo que es las consejeras y las asistentes para la comunidad, el punto más importante que las familias hispanas tienen, ¿sí? No puedo concebir que si en los mismos datos que el distrito presenta, que representamos casi el 50% de la popularidad de la población estudiantil.
The counselors as well as the community assistants, the liaisons, are such an important touch point for the community, and that it doesn't seem to relate to the data that we've been talking about with the students.
Cada día, cada tiempo nos presenten más, ¿sí? Con años anteriores con la reducción de las asistentes ejecutivas. Ahora mismo no tenemos un traductor, ¿sí? Que nos ayude para venir a presentar nuestras inconformidades.
So, for example, even right now, there isn't a translator to be able to help to facilitate this conversation.
Platicando con nuestros padres, me decían en su conformidad que se les hace una falta de respeto que a nosotros nos pidan una lista de prioridades.
I saw Lalo come in. Lalo, did you want to help out with translating?
He didn't hear what he said.
It's okay, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't planning on translating tonight, and I'm really trying to stay focused. Could you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Se nos hace una falta de respeto.
Okay, lo siento, voy a decirlo. That he just feels like it's really disrespectful that with, even given this situation. So I'm sorry, just because porque quiero tanto a Armando, porque he trabajado tanto con él y no quiero que usted tiene el respeto y una persona que puede traducir mejor que yo, pues por eso quiero preguntar a Lalo hacerlo. So I was just saying that I love him and respect him so much that I want to make sure that someone's here to represent him better than my abilities in translation, mis habilidades en traducciones.
It might also be important, just because I said in the instruction at the beginning in English, to explain that we can't comment and interact, so he's aware we're not. Can you explain? You understand that, Lalo?
Sí, le explicó que al principio no puede comentar o contestar preguntas que se tiene, pero pueden escuchar.
Because it was a non-agenda item.
He understands that.
Good. Okay.
Is he under a time limit?
3 minutes or so. I think we're in that range.
3 minutos.
Yeah.
So he understands the time limit as well.
Yeah.
So he feels it's disrespectful that
Sí, una lista de prioridades que es lo que nosotros pensamos que es mejor para que nuestros alumnos sean mejores estudiantes.
okay.
Y ahora nos algo que nos quieren reducir las horas de las consejeras.
Okay, so he feels that it's disrespectful to ask him and the community to name things that are important and to prioritize it, and mentioning that having translator is a priority for the community and not having that translator available tonight, he feels is disrespectful.
Quisiera comentarles a ustedes que se dieran un tiempo, una vuelta a escuchar a los padres, ¿sí?
So he wishes that you had an opportunity to listen to the parents.
Sí, los problemas están ahí con ellos. Ellos lo están, no en una oficina atrás de un escritorio, ¿sí? En alguna ocasión salió a reducir los sueldos de alguien.
So he feels that it's important for us to reach out to the community and really understand what are their issues. For example, somebody's salaries.
Sí. La mayoría nos quejábamos del alto porcentaje del sueldo que tienen, pero yo les decía...
¿Perdón, que tiene quién?
Las personas, no quiero decir tal, sí,
Okay, so there's a concern about people's salary, but he's not being specific as to what that specific concern is.
Okay.
Pueden ganar lo que sea, la cosa es que hagan su trabajo bien, ¿sí? Que es para lo que están, porque siempre los que tienen que pagar son nuestros niños, nuestros alumnos, y no...
Okay, so he wants individuals to be compensated properly, but for the work to be reflected on our students' achievement and progress.
Sí. Como último, quisiera darles las
The last thing.
Quisiera proponerles, ¿por qué no, antes de reducir algo, nos juntamos un grupo de padres con ustedes y vemos qué es lo que nos, dónde hacer reducciones y ver dónde afectaría menos a nuestros alumnos, que es para lo que estamos aquí.
So he thanks the board very much for the opportunity, and he asks for possibly additional time for him and his group to have an input as to how funds are allocated. When that time comes, he will appreciate, va a apreciar si le dan esa oportunidad de tenerla, contribuir en cómo se. So he would like the group to have a opportunity to review the budget, I guess, el presupuesto del distrito. So that's what he's asking for.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, it looks like on the same topic, Juana Ruano.
I'm gonna come and they can come and support me there. All these parents come or they can be there. My name is Veronica Torres.
Sure, come on. Everybody's welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, I have another list of parents that I'm the president of ELAC of the high school. And we heard that they want a reduction on the hours for counselors. With my experience, I've been in the area for a long, long time. I have a daughter, first generation, in my family, that she is in college, in a private college. So to me, my experience that she is there right now is because we had a very good people in the high school, especially the counselors. That's why she got her goal to go to a private school. And I know if they do that, I know we have 1,000 students for 3 counselors. If they do a cut on reductions of hours, our children is going to be very affected. Some of the parents in the high school, they are really concerned. They're worried because some of the parents have their children that they haven't gone to college yet. Their kids is the first time they're in high school, and they have dreams like I had. And I think I'm here to represent them. If that's possible, that they can keep those 3 counselors. I think right now they do miracles. They do good miracles because my daughter is in a private school right now. She called me today and said, Mom, I know you're going to do something very nice tonight. She's wishing she comes to the high school one day and talk to the students and let them know that she came with a very good foundation from high school, Huffman Bay High School. So we keep that up. Not only my daughter, other kids. These parents have a lot of dreams like I did. And I want their children to go to high school. I want Efrain that someday he will go to college. So I need that support. And I wish that when we come back from our vacation in the summer, that we continue having the counselors there. Thank you for listening tonight.
Thank you. Okay, that was Veronica. So I think that. Yeah, okay. So Juana was one of the parents in the group up there?
Yes.
Okay, so you're,
Yeah.
did you want to speak separately, or you?
It's a little different, pero es
Sure.
I'll translate for Mon.
Thank you, Ala.
Quizás un poco también de las consejeras de la high school, de que les van a quitar sus horas, pero también
Her comment is related to the reduction of hours for the high school counselors.
ya lo que sé que quieren poner una consejera para Pilarcitos, sé que también es importante que la pongan ahí, pero que si la agarran nomás para ese lugar estaría mucho mejor y dejarlas de allá arriba.
So she understands that we're also thinking about providing counseling service to the students attending Pilarcitos, and she supports that idea. However, she feels that the additional counselors should be exclusively for Pilarcitos. Quiere que le empleen a otro consejero.
Sí, a otro consejero para que esté solamente para Pilarcitos porque sé que lo necesita.
So she's aware that the services are needed at Pilarcitos as well, but she feels that the district needs to hire an additional counselor for Pilarcitos.
Y sí sé que hay bajos, no hay tanto dinero o hay dinero para otras cosas, sé que lo habían de enfocar en cosas que importan de verdad, así como lo necesita Pilarcitos, lo necesitamos allá arriba en la high school.
She's aware that the district is under some form of stress when it comes to financial resources, but if we can prioritize that the high school needs counselors as well as Pilarcitos.
Y eso es todo, quiero decir es solamente que la juventud son el éxito que van a triunfar nuestros hijos en la vida, para que sean unos profesionales.
And she supports the idea about youth pursuing a college education so they can, lo último que dijo?
Para que sean unos profesionales.
So they can have a professional job or occupation in the future.
Y espero que tomen mucho esto que hablamos. Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Jim White.
First, I want to thank the board for allowing me to speak this evening. I just want to mention the email that was sent to me and the board back in April of 2012 by Chris Dobrow. With the current high school principal Mary Streschley stepping down, I'm certain that the CUSB board and staff will acknowledge the role that Mary has been engaged in the parent community and actively supporting the school over the last 3 or 4 years. While most of the countless hours of volunteerism and hundreds of thousands of dollars have been channeled through PAC, which is now the foundation for the Boosters, which I am the treasurer of for the past 4 years, many other individuals have also been instrumental in improving academics, athletics, and the overall campus. As you know, I sent an email to everyone today. You should have an email in your inbox regarding the resignation of the high school principal, Mary Streschley. And I've addressed the board again, and I want to be on public record for this. As you can see below, this email was written by Chris Dobrow, the vice president of Half Moon Bay Boosters Athletic Club 2 years ago. Sadly, today, we found out that Allison Silvestri has stepped down as principal at the high school. I'm not sure why, but we have some suspicions. Allison is a tireless and dedicated professional. She embraced the high school community, the students, its athletics, and forward-thinking goals. She did it for the advancement of the students and the betterment of the community at large. Allison supported every aspect of life on campus, and the Half Moon Bay community should be proud of her efforts. As the current treasurer of the Half Moon Bay Boosters Athletic Club for the past 4 years, and a person who has closely worked with Allison on numerous occasions, I can tell you we shared the same enthusiasm, goals, and vision for students at the high school. We also knew and know the barriers and challenges she faced every day. These obstacles may have eventually factored into Allison's decision to leave Half Moon Bay High School. If this is the case, we need to be introspective. We need to understand why she left, and then make clear decisions to change and not let another innovative and inspirational leader like Allison Silvestri slip out of our educational community. Change is difficult, but it can be all good for us. If we as a community or group continue to serve the narrow self-interest of everyone in certain groups, then no one inside will ever seek change. And think about that for a second. You serve yourself, you're not going to change. If you serve the community, you're going to change. We need to understand this. We need to make hard choices so we don't let this happen again in the future. In my personal view, this is my personal view, she needed more administrative blocking and tackling. From the CUSD board here before me and the district office in support of her efforts, obviously she didn't get it. She's gone. Shame. So, to use the same line Chris used 2 years ago, which is really terrible, to come back up here 2 years looking for a new principal, I respectfully submit that in the process of selecting a new principal, and to honor and sustain the forward momentum Allison and Mary Strushley have created for the high school, because we certainly have great momentum. You can see it in Naviance, you can see it in a whole bunch of different things, you can see it in the terms of the campus. We need to be introspective, and we need to make the right decisions. If you don't make the right decisions, there will be people to replace you to make the right decisions. I respectfully say that I would welcome the opportunity to help in the selection process. And I've copied other members of the board and the foundation. And let me also say, if I can, for one more second, thanks for I agree with all the people here that have come before you. We cannot lose counselor positions in this community. And if the foundation and the Boosters organization has to go out and pay for it, we'll get it. Because we need that to continue the success that we've had putting 92% of our kids in graduating class into college with counselors who know where these kids are going. And we need to put our position right and forward into the right position. So I thank you very much for your time. And
Jim Drobnik.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for letting me speak. I'm going to kind of ride on the coattails of Jim White. I'm Jim Drobnik. I'm president of the Half Moon Bay Boosters Association, and better known as BAC. And I just want to have everybody stand up and give Mary Strushley, Allison Silvestri a round of applause for a great job. You know, this will be a tremendous loss for the high school community, but we will persevere, and with the board's help, we will hire someone, hopefully just as effective as Allison, but it'll be a tough pair of shoes to fill. One thing I'd like to address the board tonight is that it's not just a board decision that needs to be made, but it needs to be a decision made by the community, and from parents, from members of whatever organizations are out there, whether it's ELAC, whether it's the board of directors of Boosters, or whether it's the PAC organization. These are the real organizations that help drive the campus, not only the board of directors. And so I respectfully ask that when the process starts, that you take in consideration this request, and that we have active community members and parents from the high school that can help make this decision and keep the momentum going that Allison and Mary started, what, 7, 8 years ago? Because we all know what it was like 6, 7, 8 years ago. It was a mess. When Allison and Mary came on board, they completely changed the whole high school community on campus. There were people that were actually looking to leave town to send their kids to high school and not even consider public education. That tide has turned. We should all be thankful for that, and we need to keep that tide going. Thank you.
Okay, that is it for comments from the public. All right, number 10, representative reports. CUTA, Tom, are you here tonight? No? No, okay. CSEA rep? Oh, Steve?
Good evening.
Welcome.
Board members. I want to first say a big thank you to all the parents group who has been showing appreciation to all the staff this week. And we are really, all the groups that feel that we are appreciated by parents and by administrators and everyone. I want to say thank you for that. And I also want to thank you all guys too, that I feel this school, I came here 4 years ago, and the school have improved so much. We have such a different dialogue there. Every group now are involved and have a say in the district. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. I just want to say one thing about the counselors too. I think it's very important too that we have the counselors in the district. But I also know that we need a counselor down at Pilositos. And they have been really not have any real counseling there before. So I'm really happy because that is the weakest group of kids we have in this community. And I think it's very, very important that we had counselors here. How it's done, I don't know. That's up to the administration. And I also want to congratulate Alison to promotion. I checked out the school, and it's bigger than our high school, and it's really nice campus. And I hope you're gonna have a real success there, Alison. Yeah, from here, all CSAA. Yeah, pretty much what I have to say. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Dick. All right, number 11, reports, information, and presentation. So 11A is receive and discuss the draft local control accountability plan and community input to date. That just rolls off the tongue. I will move out of the way. Thank you.
Good evening. This evening, I'm presenting the Local Control Accountability Plan process to date and where we are in developing our first initial, I'll use the acronym from now on, LCAP. So the Local Control Accountability Plan, the LCAP, is part of the new local control funding formula, and it's a intensive process to develop a 3-year plan that describes the services that we will provide all students and targeted students. So our process began this year. We were we are still in the middle of a strategic planning process, and so we did extensive outreach to our community. This in September and November, September through November, and through that process, we integrated the LCAP data collection as well. Even though we were ahead of the really knowing what the LCAP requirements were going to be, which came out in January as approved by the State Board of Education. So our initial draft are based on the governor's January budget proposals. In a couple of weeks, we'll have the May revise, and we'll need to do some revision to the document at that point as well before we finally bring it to the board. We also, once we had a draft, we went and did extensive engagement with our stakeholder community. Our DLAC, our District English Learner Advisory Committee, we met on 2 occasions with. They served as our English Learner Advisory Committee under the LCAP process and gathered great input from that group in terms of their desires to see services provided for students. We also utilized our strategic plan steering committee as our parent advisory committee under the LCAP requirements. I made a presentation to them and received feedback as well. The results of that feedback will be posted on the website next week. The document is completed and is out for translation right now. So that will be available. We'll be sending those groups the responses to all of their questions and comments shortly. And then again, with the governor's revision and with stakeholder input, our draft is evolving. So the LCAP has 3 components. The first component deals with stakeholder engagement. The second part of the document talks about goals, and then in out years, looking at how we are meeting those goals. And the last part of it describes the actions, services, and expenditures for our students. So the first part, the engagement part, really is a story about how we engaged our community in the development revision of our LCAP. And it's based on 6 guiding questions. And the second part of it, goals and progress indicators, are aligned over a 3-year period, and they meet the state's 8 priority areas. The first general area are the basics of learning, and those are really the Williams Act's items, which include ensuring that students have appropriate instructional materials, that students are in facilities that are in good repair, and that students are in classrooms with teachers who are appropriately credentialed. There's an area that needs to be addressed in terms of implementation of state standards and alignment to the Common Core and the work that we're doing to get there. We need to address that all students have access to appropriate courses. The second area is pupil outcomes. There's the overreaching area of pupil achievement, which includes looking at measures such as the former CSTs and the upcoming Smarter Balanced assessments, as well as looking at how our English learners are performing on the California English Language Development Test, the percent of kids who are participating in AP courses, and those types of indicators. And other pupil outcomes simply is a local opportunity to look at other locally defined outcomes that our district is interested in. And in that area, we specifically addressed career to technical education. And then the last part of it is engagement, how we're involving parents in the development not only of the LCAP, but in our schools on a daily basis. And then pupil engagement really talks about how students are engaged in school, and school climate looks at issues of suspensions, for example, and expulsion, and also attendance rates. We're looking at how students are participating in that. So under for those 8 areas, we've identified 16 goals, and they are, I'm not going to read every single one of them, but the first 3 have to do again with the Williams Act. Those are fall under that basic part. Again, teachers being appropriately credentialed, standards aligned materials for kids, and school facilities. We have a goal to ensure that we make a nice transition to the Common Core standards in our classroom. We have a specific goal related to our students in secondary being enrolled in a broad course of study, meaning that they involved in English language arts, math, social studies, and science instruction. We have goals related to our transition to integrating Smarter Balanced assessments, and another goal around our districts and schools' APIs reaching the minimum of 800. We have goals to increase students' college and career readiness as they graduate from our high schools, and we want to increase our English proficiency of our students, the percent of kids taking AP and passing, the percent of kids who are taking the early assessment and passing, increasing career to technical education opportunities for students, especially those who are not college bound, improving communication across our district within our community, and that's also aligned with the board's strategic plan as we're looking at it. We have goals to reduce truancy rates, suspension rates, and increasing English learner reclassification rates. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the actions and services piece. Again, this is a 3-year plan. It's a rolling 3-year plan, meaning that next year we'll add another year to it, so we'll always have 3 years of description of action, services, and expenditures embedded into the plan. It's really 2 plans within that. There's the 3 annual plans that for actions and services that meet the needs of all students, and then those additional action services that meet the needs of targeted students. And targeted students include low-income English learner and other significant students of our population. Special education, for example, this would also be included, even though special education funds are not part of the LCAP. Those are specified other categorical funding. There's a requirement that we detail what our services and expenditures are going to be for targeted students. That's really the heart of the LCAP, is that piece of it right there. What are we doing to meet the needs of those underperforming students? And supplemental funds, we'll get into a little bit about this in a moment. There are two funding sources for Cabrillo Unified under the LCFF. Those are base funds that all students generate, and then there's supplemental funds that the targeted students generate. Those are, again, English learner, low income, and foster youth students are the ones that generate the supplemental funds, and we need to clearly describe those services that meet the needs of those students. So the first plan, the first section of that plan is what we're doing to meet the needs of all students. And that's the base funding, and that's the lion's share of funding that we will receive under this new funding formula. And we can think of base funding similar to what we've thought about as our general fund in the historically. Those base funds will support all services that are not described in the document for supplemental funding. So, the funding for the classroom teachers, for administrative assistants, all of those personnel and services that we provide outside of a small number of other ones that we'll take a look at within the supplemental funding. Those are all part of that, those expenditures. So for next year, year one of our LCAP, we are proposing to continue with all positions and services as are in the current year, with a recommendation to expand hours for site-based clerical and within the accounting office here at the district office, as well as reinstate a grounds position. So those site-based clerical include hours for administrative assistants, for school registrar, and for additional support in the high school office, which received a tremendous number of cuts a number of years ago. And hopefully with the funding formula coming and with a successful passage of a bond, of a parcel measure, we'll be able to start returning those classified positions. And that, again, would be under the base funding of the LCAP. We're going to spend a little more time on the supplemental funds. For last year, for the LCFF, what it's really done is it's taken the existing funds that schools receive and it's rebundled those. There used to be a large number of categorical programs that have been dissolved, and that funding has gone into the base and into the supplemental funding. So it's not a single new dollar to education, it's a redistribution. So for example, we can see here the EIA funds, which is the Economic Impact Aid. Those are funds that have been allocated on a per school basis historically. Those have disappeared, they're now part of the LCFF. And in the last year we received them. Last year we received about $440,000. In next year, we're projected to receive about a little over $900,000 in supplemental funds, and then increasing a little bit each year. This doesn't mean that we now have new dollars to support programs for targeted students. It means we have less dollars to for those services that touch all students. So again, it's just, a redistribution of existing funds. And that is why the legislature has permitted districts to use supplemental funds in ways that touch all students. So we're going to look here now at what we're recommending supplemental services to be in year one of the LCAP. And we did, we talked to principals, we talked to school communities in developing these recommendations. And again, we also spoke to the stakeholder groups. So included in year one are reading intervention teachers for the K-5 schools, additional support for class size reduction, intervention support at secondary schools, ELD sections at the secondary schools, as well as additional resources, materials, training, and more of that in future years. And AVID sections at both the high school and I believe Acuna as well, and professional development to support those that program. We're also will be continuing the current level of bilingual liaison and translation services provided at the sites. We'll support the substitutes needed to do our self-testing and for transportation of targeted students.
Tony, could I ask you for a little clarification on what intervention support for secondary schools is?
There's a couple of programs that we're using, Achieve 3000, Aventa. Those are web-based programs, and there are sections for students to engage in those as one illustration. I don't know, Elizabeth, if there's anything else.
Web-based programs to do what?
Achieve 3000 is like a academic math program that is online, that students run through the program and raise their level of proficiency in math.
Would this be used in the traditional classroom setting, summer school?
It can be used in the classroom setting. It can be used in an extra Math Plus class like we have at Cunha. And then the Aventa credit recovery courses at the high school.
Thank you.
So it would be important for me to point out that these are all services that we're currently providing. Some of them were being provided through our general funds. Some of them were being provided through the former EIA funds. So we did not remove any of the services that we're currently providing for targeted students. It's just a different way of a different funding source, if you will. So in year two, in the second year of the LCAP, we would continue all of the services that we just went through. It's also the year that we would be looking in. Next year we'll be looking at ELD materials. Year two would be the year to deeply implement those ELD instructional materials. There's a recommendation for a special programs coordinator position that would actually be funded in year one, but paid for out of one-time funds next year, and then under the supplemental funds moving forward. There would be an expansion of bilingual liaison time per site. This year, we've been, as we have over the last several years, we have 4 hours per school site, and that's being paid out of EIA funds. Next year, we're recommending to keep that 4-hour position, but then in year two, it would go to 6 hours per site. And bringing in a district-wide translator and supporting truancy home visits. So to make sure that those kids who are disconnected from our schools, we have another tool to bring them back.
Tony, who was involved in making that list of what will happen in year two? Were they the site administrators,
It was all of the stakeholders that we had. I mean, as you heard here earlier, there is a tremendous interest in our Hispanic community for an expansion of liaison time at the sites. It's one of their top goals.
So and that was our result ability. Of the ELAC
Absolutely.
Conversation. Okay.
Absolutely.
Could you clarify what we're here? Sorry to interrupt again. There is funding, or there's projected to be funding for this?
There is funding for year one, and there's the increase of funding that we saw that we'll be incrementally getting each year under the LCFF program would allow us to do the next things.
And this is guaranteed funding, or this is like every
These
other
are projections
state?
by school services if the state meets its obligation
Thank you.
to incrementally increase funding each year.
Okay.
If it does, if the funding stream changes, either goes up or goes down, then we have to make adjustments.
Okay, thank you.
And then in year three, all those things we talked about for years 1 and 2 would continue. This would be a year to expand AVID services, continue the provision of ELD services, materials, excuse me, and bring the bilingual liaisons to full-time status, as well as have a district-wide someone who could work, for special education, IEPs, and a variety of other, to have another person, bilingual liaison, that would be, available for schools to bring on board when their own time, our own person could meet all the need at the school site. So one of our next steps, we'll bring the LCAP back to the May 29th board, the draft as it will be at that moment. We'll conduct a public hearing, meaning that we'll invite the community to come and give their responses. I will again respond to the comments and questions that we do receive at the public hearing. Then the document will be brought back to the June 26th board meeting, where we'd ask the governing board to approve it prior to approving the 14-15 budget. Statutorily, we cannot approve a budget without an approved LCAP. And then even beyond that, we'll continue our cycle of monitoring our progress in meeting those goals and those progress indicators. We'll assess how we did. We'll engage the community, share how we did, share our story, ask for their continued input, and then revise, and then bring back for the governing board to add an additional year to the LCAP on an annual basis. So any other questions?
Will this presentation be available on our website?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll need to get it translated, but we can put this up there.
So is this the point where we discuss the draft document that we've seen also?
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
This is a big, the document is huge, and there are a lot of detail, and I can appreciate the amount of work that's gone into just creating this de novo. And the only comment I would have, it reads well, and I think it's wonderful progress. There are places in there where you state that the goal is to achieve county average of this, or state average of that. I think it is worthwhile to state that the intention is to meet or exceed the average. Even though that may seem like a lofty goal, we may surprise ourselves by our ability to achieve it, and to set that goal as high as possible so that we remain cognizant of it. We want every student to reach as high as they can every time they have the opportunity to do so. Thank you.
That's good input. So let me just go back to the actual document that you have in the packet, and that's published online for any member of the public who wants to see the LCAP in its current form. The document that we're utilizing a web-based process to input this data in, this information in, and then it creates this document. This is the document that we're using internally, but it is not the state-approved template. When we bring this back for the public hearing and for adoption, we're going to have to bring back this document reformatted in the state template, which is very cumbersome to look at, just the way it's formatted. and we legally cannot use another format. So internally, we will use this format because it's much more accessible. It's much easier to find information in it, and it flows very nicely. But the state approved the template, at least the way it is right now, and hopefully there'll be some shift in that to allow districts to utilize other formats. But right now, that's not available. So don't be surprised. We can provide both, but what the board will actually need to approve is the state approved.
What do you think it costs to translate that document?
Well, we know how
I mean,
much.
from the two formats.
Oh.
I'm not talking about.
Right. Well, fortunately, it'll only be translated. We did have it translated once, so that when we met with the DLAC, we could provide a document. But we will have it translated one more time when we're ready to bring it back to the governing board after May 29th.
And the company that we're working with, actually, it transfers automatically from the template we're using to the state template.
That's good.
And so will the translation.
And Tony, on the document, either this document or the final document, can we be more specific, or I should say, can we outline the stakeholder groups specifically by who they were?
Yes, and that's all part of that first section.
Okay.
And there is language in there now, but really that section is the story of how we got here. And so a lot of that language is placeholder. And so, before, even now, I will go in and start readjusting that for May 29th, but it may readjust again because we're not done with engagement until we approve the document.
And that's what I missed on this presentation. Only in that, I think it really sets the stage. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
Oh, we have another presentation.
Okay, excellent. Well, let me
Announce that one.
Yes, that would be 11B, receive and discuss report update on the Cabrillo Unified School District Safe Routes to School program. Very important, look forward to hearing about that. No, turn the light on, yeah.
Thank you, President Papalardo. Good evening, members of the board. It's exciting to return again this evening to provide another update to the governing board regarding the Safe Routes to School program. There's certainly a lot of activity going on in our district and also in our town related to projects that slowly but surely are becoming more and more integrated in so many different capacities. And this evening we wanted to take the opportunity to update you on the activity for the Safe Schools to Routes program and also share some good news regarding a recent grant that was approved again for next year. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Carlene up to the podium. And in my HR role, I get to work with a variety of different people that are not only good at what they do, but they really enjoy what they do. And Carlene, day in and day out, continues to give 110% to this program and ultimately our children. So I want to thank Carlene in advance.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
Nice to be back. So I'm just going to kind of roll right into our goals, which we shared in January with you, and give you a little bit of an update because we're really approaching the end of the year, which I can't even believe. So the first goal, we talked a lot about what we've been doing to engage parents in the school community. The one kind of last component of that is the Youth Summit, which is happening a week from today. And we're excited about participating in that. So we'll be providing some of those fun outdoor activities, the rock wall, the bicycle obstacle course, the blender bikes, and that type of thing, again, as we did last year. And the second goal is evaluating the effectiveness of the program. So this includes 2 surveys. And last time we talked about the results from last year. And now we're going to look at the comparison of the 2. So this includes parent surveys and student surveys, which are collected by teachers. So starting with the parent surveys, you can see what happened was there was a kind of a change in the way we collected them. We did them only online versus every parent received paper last year. And we also changed the timing. Last year, the timing was August, September. This year, it was December. So we got a few less parents, as you can see. 98 participated. The good news is that, you know, people are becoming more aware of the Safe Routes to School program. And for the 98 parents who did respond, there were obviously a huge increase in children walking and biking to school. And where we really want to see that reduction is the family cars. You know, doing more carpooling and using public transportation, and walking and biking, of course, is the big component for Safe Routes to School. And so if you look at the parental concerns, the dark is the last year results and the light is the this year results. The concerns are the same, really. So it's too much traffic along the routes, the speeding traffic on the route, and the unsafe intersections. The good news is that parents seem to have, at least the 98 who responded, a kind of more of a comfort level, slightly better comfort level. I'll kind of read into that by looking at the lower scores there, percentages. So that was the parent, and this is the student survey results. And so again, this isn't exactly apples to apples, because this year we chose to do it in December. We had to do it before the holiday break. And we wanted to do some things before we actually put the survey out, so we waited until December, which was good in one way. In another way, unfortunately, the 2 days we chose to do the surveys, it was when we had the first freeze. So the results are pretty much the same. I would have liked to have seen some improvement, but they're the same. So we'll see what happens next year. For our third goal, which was coordinating a district-wide event, last time I shared with you that we chose Earth Day because we felt for us at this time this is the most doable event for us, and it also gave us a lot of flexibility for the schools so they could kind of pick and choose what works and when it works for them. So Cunha and Hatch chose the Be Seen, Keeping It Clean days, which were very fun and we felt successful. Basically, both of them chose to do it as a homework assignment. So students went out into their neighborhoods and picked up trash over the weekend, and then we had a day where they brought it back, and pizza parties were awarded to the classrooms that brought the most trash back. So in both cases, the leadership team really handled that at Cunha, and they were fantastic. They did a great job. And at Hatch, Jim Ward and his staff were highly involved, and everybody seemed to really get into it, which is exciting, and we got over, I guess it was about 100 at both schools, a little less or a little bit more bags, 13-gallon bags of trash. So, yeah, and we had Recycle Works and Allied Waste as our partners in that. So at El Granada and Kings Mountain, they chose to do the Cool to Earth program, and I may have mentioned last time, it's kind of like a program in a box. Basically what happens is there's a kickoff assembly, and then each child gets the coupon books. Did I show this last time? They get the coupon books, and there's lots of different things they can do to be change agents for the environment, and including, of course, walking and biking to school. And so I was lucky enough to attend their kickoff at El Granada. The 4th and 5th grade science classes are doing it. This is Gwendolyn Holden's group, and they did I couldn't help but blow this up. It was kind of a last minute thing to show you the kids doing their kickoff play. Yeah, so it was very fun. And everybody was silent and listening and totally into it, so nice. And so at Farallon View, they will be including environmental activities in their Oceans Week, which is next week. And as part of that, there will be kind of like a Be Seen, Keeping It Clean type of event. Actually, I think they're going to be doing it all week long, including a school cleanup. And so our final goal was the, safety at our schools, basically. And so we know we completed the Cunha Hatch walking audit. We talked about that last time. We completed Farallon View's walk and bike audit, which we will talk about in a minute in more detail. And we've actually already secured some small infrastructure funding through the Safe Routes to School grant, so we're super excited about that. It's $10,000 was the maximum amount that we could have for that. So we didn't, we couldn't do any of the big projects, but it will give us like 6 or 7 of the little things, which includes repainting crosswalks. This includes signage that's needed. This includes permeable pathways. So we've already designated that money to about 6 or 7 of the projects that are on the audits. And then the fourth is what we're going to talk to you about when we finalize this presentation, which is seeking infrastructure funding through the Active Transportation Program grant, which is the same program which Supervisor Horsley presented. They're applying for a grant as well, which totally ties into what we've been doing with the audits. We'll talk about that in a minute. So just to give you an overview of next year's money for Safe Routes to School. Again, I said we have the $10,000 for the small infrastructure. We are including the high school, which we're super excited about. So we'll do a walk and bike audit for the high school. And we received $27,500 for non-infrastructure. It was a little less than what we asked for, but we're super pleased with the amount. It's better than last year. It was $30,000 last year and $42,000 this year. So it's good.
Good direction.
Yeah. So just quickly moving right into the Farallon View Walk and Bike Audit. We had good representation from all areas. This was done by Kimley Horn and Associates. The other one was Fair and Pierce Transportation Consultants. So they do have a different format. If you looked at the report, you may have noticed that. The big difference is they don't prioritize high, medium, low. So we did ask them to kind of put, who's responsible for it, and also give us some immediate projects or more long-term projects, and that is on the actual report, which I didn't include here. So due to the fact that it's not prioritized, I'm going to be covering all of the elements with you, but I'll go through them pretty quickly. Okay? So the turnaround, if you've been over to Farallon View, you know that LeConte basically has a dead end. So there really needs to be a more formalized turnaround for parents to turn around. The National Park Service is right on board with us to do that. I mean, that will be more of a long-term project, but we are in discussion already about it. We tried for point number 2, there's this trail that kind of parallels the alpaca farm, which a lot of people in the back of Montero use, including myself. And we thought possibly we could use that $10,000 to do a path there, but it turns out we did have Golden Gate National Parks came out, they looked at it, and it's going to be more than 10. So it's going to have to be more of a future project, potentially next year. We could work on that with them. And the third one is the no parking sign. So what happens is as you're coming out of the parking lot at Farallon View, a lot of people kind of want to stop right there in front of the alpaca farm on the right-hand side, and it gets congested and a little bit crazy there. So just putting in some no stopping or no parking signs would be helpful, and the alpaca farm is right on board with us. They've already written a letter to Dr. Rorick regarding their approval for us to do that. We have the money to do it. Now it's just next year go to the county to have them partner with us on it. And then, so the fourth point, this is not the sidewalk that is on LeConte. This is kind of a school sidewalk. It kind of starts at the sidewalk, the county sidewalk, and it makes its way up to the school. So it's a very narrow little sidewalk, which is used, and it could be widened. You know, if you're a mother with a stroller and a couple kids, it's kind of hard to get down there with everybody. So that is kind of more of a long-term district-type project. There aren't pedestrian ramps, basically. If you're walking down the sidewalk on LeConte, there's just curbs. So it really needs to be updated to ADA standards. So that's one of the to-dos for me to work with Diana Shu, unincorporated county. So there's kind of a list of things I need to talk to Diana Shu about. She has the report, of course, and she was there, so she knows what needs to be done. Now we just need to follow up. The enhanced crosswalk. So this 6 is kind of like the near-term solution. Basically just repaint it and make sure it's nice and bright so people can see it. If we got the money to do that, we'll do that. The long-term is to potentially put a flashing beacon there to make it more noticeable. And 8, there was talk about getting some more parking spaces in the future. There may be a need for that. So they did plan that out for us. I'm not really going to talk about it. It's in your report. In my opinion, for us, for Safe Routes to School, it's not a top priority because it's not really a safety issue. Number 9 is very simple. It's just updating the yield pavement marking on your way in into the school to a yield to buses, because that's a real wide turn for the buses to come out of that kind of narrow roadway there. And what's perfect is 10 and 11 was covered on Supervisor Horsley's project. So basically what that is getting from the front of Montera back to the school. And there's really no path to do that currently, no continuous path. So we looked at 5th Street because 5th Street's a little bit wider and there already is some sidewalk available there. And there's choppy sidewalk on LeConte between 3rd and 5th. So, you know, we have potential there, although it's going to require, of course, community involvement. And so that, we're happy to say, is part of that project, and hopefully that will get approved. And then the number 12 is just, we need some signage saying that, you know, there's a crosswalk here, or this is where the drop-offs and for the parents kind of thing. So we have the funding to do that. It's just a matter of doing it next year. And the last two are just real simple. The vegetation sometimes gets overgrown on the sidewalk, creating a little difficulty for people to pass. So just working with the county to keep that trimmed back. And then 14, of course, they already have their parking lot procedures in place and they're online. And it's just a matter of Joy Darnell and her class, her group just reinforcing that and updating it as needed as things change. So that is it for the Fairlawn View audit. And then the final thing we really wanted to get your partnership on is this active transportation program grant, which is due soon. So we have a real tight time frame. I'm willing to do my part to make it happen, and we've already had preliminary conversations with the city about this, and that's really why we're here. So there's really two parts. So we're calling this the Cunha Intermediate School Safety Project. So these are two projects that would happen directly around Cunha. So the first one, as we discussed last time, is the real need for an enhanced mid-block crosswalk on Kelly. So this would be between Cabrillo Highway and Church Street. Okay, so this would be, you know, the rapid flashing beacon type thing. Of course, that would be for the city to really look at and determine. The great thing about that is it would really slow the vehicle speed, and then it would also allow for, of course, you know, a safer crossing. And of course, with all that's happening, specifically the Boys and Girls Teen Center there, that'll really be utilized even more so than now. So the second one is right there at Carias and Church Street, the intersection where you have the library entrance and you have the entrance to Cunha. If you've ever been there in the morning or in the afternoon, you know it's very confusing there. And wherever you have automobile drivers that are confused, that's not good for pedestrians and bicyclists for sure. So, you know, really just kind of looking at this whole vehicle right-of-way issue and putting in some stop control. Again, the city will need to look at this and make some determinations on what makes the most sense. And then that third point is really just part of the second point. It's just taking away that last parking space on Church Street before Cunha's entry, just for better visibility. And so in these preliminary conversations with the city, they've asked that they receive a letter from Dr. Rorick, really just kind of detailing the project, which they really already know, and really getting, you know, having him state in the letter that you, the school board, are willing to work with the city council on the project. And once they have that, then they're ready and willing to start working with us on the grant proposal. It's really what we're asking of you now. Any questions?
What kind of dollar figure is the grant? I mean,
We
what are we
don't
looking at?
we don't really know this
Okay.
yet until the city comes, because they're really the experts in this
Okay.
area, so. The good news is for Safe Routes to, they really want Safe Routes to School type projects for this grant, so it doesn't have to be any certain amount, so, you know.
Yeah, well, this is clearly around Cunha, incredibly busy and interestingly designed path of traffic and interaction of pedestrians and so forth. I'm there frequently, so I'm certainly in support of the district providing a letter of partnership with the city and your fine efforts.
Yeah,
And I don't know if anybody else has that challenge. Would anybody else want to add anything to that thought?
I just think this is such a great inventory of something that you just drive by every single day. You know, and how many people in our community, you know, are aware of this such detail. So thank you, you know, for making the streets safer for our kids.
Yeah, it's a joy to do it. Pleasure.
I just want to say thank you we had the report a couple months ago, and it was great to see all the suggestions, and now here's the follow through and really trying to take the action. So I really appreciate that as well, and full support of us working with the city to help make some of these things happen. So.
Great. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, that was really a great report. All right, 11C, receive and discuss information related to the city of Half Moon Bay and the San Mateo County Library System to build a new facility and to potentially develop a shared parking use agreement with CUSD. Another important topic for our community. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Rick Walchuk. I'm a member of the Half Moon Bay City Council. And on that last thing, I know those people. We worked something out in that crosswalk, so it makes sense. Previous item. But thank you for having us here tonight. And before I start, I didn't realize this morning when I was going to come here that the events that would come out in the news and about Allison, and I want to say publicly what I've told you privately, is that you have my respect, and because I know you fight for the kids, and I just want to say that in front of everybody else as well. To the topic on hand, Half Moon Bay Library. With me tonight is Don Merquez from Group 4, Anne-Marie Despain from the library, Alex Kajikian from the City of Half Moon Bay. So first of all, thank you to the board for being a good community citizen. You know, there's a lot of collaboration going on, and we know the activity with the Boys and Girls Club, and we know we're all in this together, and so I definitely appreciate that. I want to give you a little bit of background about the library, but just starting with a number of years ago, when I first got on City Council, I had a single focus, which was to not go broke, literally. We came closer to insolvency than most people realize about 4 years ago. And we're in a position now where our budgets are balanced, and we are, for the first time, pursuing visible, active projects for the betterment of the community. And a couple examples are electric vehicle charging stations on our main street. We're repaving streets that need repaving and are in ill repair. We are partnering with the Half Moon Bay Beautification Committee to renovate and rebuild MacDutra Park across from City Hall. We have major projects planned for Smith Field. And with Allison, we debuted the first City of Half Moon Bay Leadership Award and Scholarship, which was a modest scholarship that went to a high school senior. They would apply to the city, fill out an essay, we'd review those and select one. There's also available to an 8th grader, 9th grader, 10th grader, and 11th grader. There's one award for each year with a small financial stipend to recognize kids doing good things in the community, and that's just, we're able to do that because we're healthier now. By the way, those are due tomorrow. We are partnering with the Boys and Girls Club to something that's affecting the school district, which is to move the skate park. And at our city council meeting on Tuesday, we gave direction to staff to develop a plan for a permanent skate park, in-ground concrete park, to be developed next to the Ted Adcock Center, which kind of makes the whole thing start to come together. But tonight I'm here to talk about, I wanted to give you that background because we're in a good spot. But I want to talk to you about the library. Here. A little bit of history for everybody. So the current library has been serving the coast side for about 40 years. It's a little under 8,000 square feet. We serve the community basically from the Santa Cruz County, from Santa Cruz County Library, Pescadero, up through Devil's Slide. We're the library. It's the one. I heard somebody mention earlier, if you've been there in the morning or after school, you know it's busy. It is undersized for our current capacity. The city of Half Moon Bay has grown 600% since the library was built. We were at 4,300 people. We're at around 29,000 now, with a projected population up to 37,000 in the coming years. Slowly, for the record, not slowly. But bottom line is, our facility is undersized, and we need to make an effort to rebuild the library and build a new library that will appropriately serve our community. I just want to give this background to let you know where we're at. I want to invite Dawn to come up and talk about the project, the information gathering, and all the work we're doing, and I'll come back at the end to finish up. You know, we're looking to continue our relationship of support and collaboration with the school district, and that's what I'm going to speak to you about. Dawn?
Thank you, Rick. Good evening. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here, both as a parent of the students in the district, as well as the architect working on the library project. We have been working on this library project, probably one of the longest projects in our office, for over 10 or 11 years now. Can I do page down on this to go to the next slide? No. Okay. So many of you probably recall the state grant application that we put into the library. Went in for 2 rounds. It got outstanding back in 2003 and 4. Outstanding meaning there was a great need for this library. One of the few libraries that did not get funded. We really just didn't have the political support needed when we went up to the bond hearing. Lafayette came with like 50 members of the community, made a huge presentation, and we just didn't have the political push to make it happen. The need is significantly still here, and as we all know from being in the library, seeing the students in the library and the other community members, it's only increased since then. One of the things that the state grant did have in place was a requirement for us to provide parking on site and to come with CEQA approval, so ready to go ahead if it got funded. At that time, we actually met with the superintendent of the school district, talked about shared parking with Cunha. Cunha at the time didn't have a plan how it was going to proceed, either rebuild on site or another location. So that discussion really couldn't go very far with us at that time. So we actually planned for underbuilding parking as a strategy to meet the parking needs so that we could get our CEQA approval and move ahead with the grant application. The cost of that underbuilding parking is significant, as you know, and so that is one of the things when council asked us to start working on the project again, to revisit. In addition to looking at the parking, they also asked us to do additional outreach, to update the program, look at the services, kind of get best practices. 10 years, libraries have changed significantly. A lot of things are happening in terms of collaborative spaces. I've seen some of the people in the room at different events. At the farmers market Saturday, we had over 200 people participate. To date, I think we've had over 800, including outreach. We're going to be at the middle school next Thursday, the high school, Rock the Block. We have a whole round of participation, so it's really exciting, lots of momentum. In addition to outreach and updating the program, council asked us to look at parking. Is there an opportunity to revisit the parking strategy, come up with a more cost-effective way? In addition to libraries changing in the last 10 years, parking approaches changes as well. It used to be, park for peak events, do more parking, and perhaps think less holistically in parking approaches. The last 10 years, looking at alternative vehicles, walking, pedestrians, bicycles, looking at being more pedestrian friendly, chain tripping as we look at parking needs, and really to optimize for outdoor spaces and not focus so much on vehicles. So when we looked again at parking, we kind of stepped back, look at the whole district. And this part of town, actually, our analysis is, and from input from the planning department, the parking inventory is a little bit higher at this end of town. It's not in quite demand, not as dense as use on Main Street, and the parking inventory seemed more optimistic for us to look at that and look at different strategies. So as we...
Was the brown, that's the area that's kind of acceptable parking distance?
So this is
from the
actually
library? How's
land
that
use
remote?
planning, and the purple is the school, the library down there in the triangle right here is
Yeah.
public use. You can see Main Street over here. Residential is kind of the gold tone here.
Yeah.
So semi-commercial residential there. So when we look at calculating parking needs, and Group 4 actually does library planning all over the country, and we really did for San Jose, we did the planning for their 20 new branch libraries. We worked Ohio, Colorado, Texas, all over. And so we kind of have a big perspective when we look at parking approach, and when we met with the planning director, we were really pleased to hear how he was more progressive in looking at parking and not saying, no, we need to go exactly what the general plan says, the zoning code, we need to provide 4 spaces per 1,000, up to whatever you're doing. He really had more pragmatic approach, more progressive approach, and had a discussion with us and discussed different options. When we proposed the best practice, which is really what a lot of libraries are doing, it's more pragmatic, looking at kind of a medium approach to the parking lot, not the high need, not the low, but something more in the middle. We're looking at a range of facility size between 26 to 30,000 square feet, so significantly larger than what we have. And as we looked at providing kind of the best practice recommendation, the range for parking for that came for needs of 72 to 80 spaces. We haven't honed in on exactly what that's going to be. We will be doing that in the next 4 to 6 weeks and come back to council with that recommendation. But based on that, and based on an analysis of the surrounding parking lots, and I hope it's okay, but we did take the liberty of asking the librarians to look at the school parking lot and to actually go out 3 times a day for the last 8 weeks and take count of that. And we wanted just to see what the feasibility was, so that when we came and spoke to you, we would at least have some information to put on the table to say, is this worth discussing or not? We looked at the parking lot that the library currently has, we looked at the Cunha parking lot, and then we looked at the street parking that you can see in red on Curious and Prisma Street as well. We took parking counts 3 times a day, 10 at noon and at 3. And all during that time, the Cunha lot was only full to capacity, and all of us who have been around on weekends during tournaments or other field uses will know that that was the time the Cunha lot was filled, when the fields were in peak use. The library lot never during that time reached 100% capacity. So I don't know if the librarians are chasing the field users out, but they're doing a good job of retaining spaces for the library users when they need it, even when the fields are in peak demand. What we have in summary, though, is just kind of a capacity analysis. And as we look at the parking availability, you can see we've got 0 spaces available at the top, and then we kind of went down from that, that even during peak times, on average, there's typically over 50 spaces available. And this is just on those immediate 2 lots. We didn't even take into account the street parking in those other areas that I showed you. So it seems to indicate that there is some capacity there for looking at some shared parking, and that potentially not adding additional concrete, not creating more parking and less green space and less people space is an opportunity. And so I did mention we had talked to the school district, the superintendent back in 2003 and 4, and actually part of the grant application was a memorandum of understanding for a shared homework program that was required to help us get that grant outstanding rating. But somewhere along the line, it was almost like when you put in the new parking lot, somebody had thought ahead and thought, well, potentially these might be able to be joined, and circulation kind of had a natural flow when we looked at opportunities to potentially share part of the Cunha lot. And again, not taking any, taking a few liberties here to kind of think ahead and see if there's opportunities for us to work with. We kind of did a very preliminary layout here that shows potential if we did one-way parking here, connect over to your existing lot, which is already one-way, going out this way, that we may be able to look at some way to share circulation and decrease the size of an in and out lot just on our own lot here. We're looking at potentially supplementing that lot I'm showing there with about 40 other spaces to get us up to, if we go with the larger program size, to the 80 parking spaces. And the size just of this double lot here, or this double loaded row of parking here, would meet that requirement. So with that, you know, we were coming to you tonight just with the concept to see if this is worth pursuing and having further discussions. And perhaps if you don't have any questions on what we've done, I think Rick is ready. Yes?
I do have a question. Have you integrated in the new boys and girls, the gymnasium, large facility that we're putting on, which will host tournaments and weekend events and afternoons when the high school kids will come down? I mean, have you looked at the impact of what that would?
So we have not taken, again, the liberty to talk to your architect. He, by chance, visited us tonight at our open house at the library, and I did have a nice discussion with Stuart. And just without having detailed information what the operational plan is for that gymnasium, we haven't been able to do that projection. I think our suggestion is that now is a great time to have those discussions and see what those operational implications might be, and to see if this is feasible, looking at how the school is thinking of operating the new gym. I think that looking at this area as a campus, perhaps looking at improved ways for drop-off, pickup, there's a lot of challenges already on the site, as we heard in the safe school routes. It just seems like an opportunity to do something proactively as we're all looking at these different things, and doing it kind of more collaboratively together is, I guess, what we're suggesting. But very good, yeah.
Because there has been a conversation to that effect, that the Boys and Girls Club is anticipating using that parking to meet the needs of parking for their facility.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and again, Stuart and I haven't had that formal discussion. It was just, he was nice enough to come by and introduce himself and kind of open the door.
If I could conclude on the topic of, you know, what's the bigger picture plan? You know, there's new gymnasiums happening, other things. Part of our project, there is a formal parking study that down the road, there's as part of the overall library project. That's a piece of it. We'd like to go into that, knowing that there's an understanding that we're going to try to work together, and we'd like to find, have an understanding that we could try to work it out, and if it's possible to work out, we'll come up with options to make that work. And that's why we're here today, to give you the update, because obviously the new library will be next to school, the middle school. But just a couple things. You know, the preliminary analysis shows that there could be adequate capacity, which is good, and we're seeking your support. We're going to prepare a letter of intent for you to review and consider, and bring it back for your June meeting. And our staff will prepare that in consultation with, I believe, with the board, staff council, and superintendent, and that can include considerations for any capital that will be required to make any changes, maintenance considerations. You know, we also want to be a good partner in this, right? We're not saying, hey, give us something. There's something where we can all benefit, and so we want to put those concepts into a letter of intent to bring that back for your June meeting. For our July 15th City Council meeting, we have a study session at 5 o'clock. Would welcome somebody from the board to attend. And that's where we're going to finalize our next steps for the new library and our plan going forward.
What was the date on that, Rick?
July 15th at 5 p.m. at the Ted Adcock Center. And that's what we have to share. And so, and really look forward to working together, collaborating. I hope everybody on the board and in the audience will have an opportunity to participate in the information sessions and share your opinion for the things you would value most for the new library. whether it's an element inside the library, how it looks physically, all those things, all those considerations. But we're getting considerable input, and we welcome you to participate in that as well. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us tonight.
Great, thank you.
FYI, our next meeting is the end of May 29th.
May 20th. Thank you.
Just to let you know.
Alex?
We'll work on it.
Okay,
All right,
just
well-
to let you know. We have another one in June, but it's not
Great.
at the end of June.
Yeah. No, May 29th is much better. Great. Thank you very
And
much.
before you step away, I mean, it's just exciting. We desperately need a new library. My gosh, it's been in the plans for what, how many years? Oh my gosh, it's scary. So, and I think, as groups, the school board and the city council that serve this community, we are required and must work together. And so certainly, whatever support, so you need from staff to assess properly the needs and have a coordinated plan, you certainly can look forward to that kind of engagement.
That's great. We definitely want to win-win. We all want to
Can I make one more comment? Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think there's lots of other opportunities for us to work together with the library in terms of, I know there was a homework club plan in the past and other things, so hopefully, as this is going forward, we can also be thinking about those other ways of using shared resources for, evening education programs for some of our parents and other kinds of things, and so hopefully that'll be a part of that.
We see eye to eye completely. I think programming is a huge thing where we can benefit the community, and it all ties together. I'm right with you.
So my question was, could you say what the percentage, how much more does it cost to do the underground parking if that ended up being the way to do it?
It's massive.
I mean, it's a double the
No,
project?
it's $7 to $8 million additional.
What's the overall project cost? I don't know. Is it just
So
as a
it's
percentage?
rough guess, $22–25 million.
So it's 50%
Yeah.
on top of that?
I should mention why this is opportune. So if it's a $22–25 million project without underground parking, we have an agreement with the county to fund half of the facility, which is a big deal. So, and our finance team is currently trying to work out a strategy. I hope I hope we're solid enough. We're trying to work out a strategy where we could potentially fund the library without, you gotta be careful with the wording, without an incremental increase to the community, meaning with the revenues we have forecasted. If not, that would be the best way to go. So it's a really good time. But the relationship with the county to fund half the library is a big deal. Not having to pay $7 or $8 million for underground parking, which would have to go through just massive environmental hurdles, and would delay the project pretty significantly, is a huge benefit. So I look forward to working together. Any other questions for us? By the way, I also want to conclude by, it's kind of cool being on this side of the table. It's very comfortable. So thank you.
Thanks for coming. Great. All right, 11D, receive and discuss first reading of proposal for textbook adoption for Half Moon Bay High School. I think there's probably another presentation.
No.
No? Okay, I don't have to
Well,
move.
there is a presentation coming up English reading.
Okay, great.
I just wanted to comment and tell Rick and his team before they leave. I've lived here through all those years of us wanting to have a new library, and it's really exciting to hear that it's going to happen and that our town is turning around. We've had some great discussions this evening, but you're about to hear the most important, because we're going to buy some textbooks for the very first time in a very long time. And I would like to compliment our superintendent, Dr. Rorick, and our business director, Crystal Leach, because without their vision and support, Elizabeth is always in favor of textbooks, but we now have a way to get some textbooks. So thank you. And I'm going to invite Jarrett Dooley, the assistant principal at Half Moon Bay High School, Department Chair Barbara Lohman, and Department Chair James Barnes up to the podium to share with you their vision for adopting some new texts for our high school.
Welcome. Look forward to this discussion.
Thank you. Obviously, excuse me, I'm a little under the weather and my voice might crack, go cough. I apologize. Thank you for allowing me to stand before you and talk about textbook adoption of the high school. As we are all very well, we have been transitioning to the Common Core state standards. Part of that process, a very important part of that process, has been to identify our needs from a textbook perspective. Textbook also, I'm not going to use that term very loosely, it includes as Dr. Reamer might appreciate, a little technological component as well, especially with our technology integration. So I appreciate you hearing what all of our department chairs, or two of our department chairs, as well as our teachers who have collaborated on examining the best textbooks that we could possibly get that better and more closely aligns with our Common Core state standards, as we have these two departments specifically have been working very diligently to make that transition this year and improve that transition hopefully next year with these textbooks. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to sorry, I get a little distracted back there. Turn it over to Barbara Lohman, our Department Chair of Science, and James Barnes, our Department Chair of Social Studies, as well as our teachers, who deserve the most credit for doing the work and looking at a bunch of textbooks. Andrew Brown and Michael Davis from Science, as well as Andrew Hoskins and Pat Olson from Social Studies.
Thanks for taking your time to come tonight. We appreciate it.
Good evening. I'm really happy to introduce the two people who know the most about the chemistry textbooks, Andy Brown and Michael Davis, to tell you all about the new textbook and how it will enhance instruction in chemistry.
Hi, thanks for having us here tonight. Chemistry, basically very sequential topic, so that's one of the reasons we really like this new text. It has a sequence that both Mike and I really like, and just the scope and sequence of the text. Currently, the one we're working with has a very odd sequence where we find ourselves introducing topics, but then having to say things like, we're not going to tell you yet why this happens. We'll get to that in another, next semester. It's frustrating. So the sequence of the new book, I think, will not only save a lot of time, give us an ability to make it more thematic as, next generation science standards come out. I think it'll be definitely a really positive change. And we've kind of actually done a little experiment. I've been doing the same order that we've been doing, and Mike came on this year. He did a little bit different order. I think he can talk about that. He's definitely happy with how that's gone. So it'll be good to just get us right on the same page, so that throughout the whole year we're, in sync with each other too. Sure.
So like Andy said, we did different sequences this year to try something. When I started, I wasn't too happy with the order of the textbook, so I changed it, and this is the order that I did things in. Obviously, it goes 2 through chapter 15 in here, in order. This is the order I did it in: 11, 12, 5, 9, 13, 14, 10, 4, 6, 7, 8, 15, 17, 16, 18. So this book bounces all over the place. There are concepts that, just to enhance what Andy says, there's concepts in here at the end of the book that need to be taught first that have a ton of vocabulary in them that I wasn't ready to give my students. So in this sequence that I chose this year, this book was not good for me or the students. It wasn't a good resource for them. The problems were not too difficult for them, but they were just out of sequence. They were bringing in vocab that they haven't had yet, and it was just honestly out of order for the way I teach and the way that we think that the students should learn moving forward with the new Common Core standards. Did you want to talk about specifics?
I wrote down a couple examples. We see some opportunities for just expanding curriculum a little bit. There's some topics, just for example, like freezing point depression, where, we get into it, but the current book, it doesn't give any of the math behind those topics, which was kind of frustrating. Another huge one is metallic bonding. It's like most of the periodic table is all metals, right? We use metals everywhere, and it is not in this book, the one that we currently have. It's like, it gives it about a 2-page thing in one chapter and a 2-page thing in another chapter, and it's, properties of metals is like one of the most important things out there, right? So I think that's a big positive thing. Definitely, you know, Jarrett mentions technology. There's a whole bunch of online resources with this. We could have, you know, online books for every student. There's like math tutor part of this, animations. They have virtual labs where they can, you know, instead of just be doing, you know, textbook work at home, we could send them home to do like a more engaging lab activity at home. And then another really positive thing is the labs provided by the book are editable. So if we want to go in there and kind of tweak the lab, try to make it more inquiry based, give the students a little bit more freedom and, you know, what they're doing in those labs, we have the opportunity to do that. So, and then I have also worked with Pearson textbooks in the past, teaching earth science at a couple different schools, and the literacy strategies, the scaffolding in the book is awesome. They provide like big ideas for the start of every chapter. They provide ways for the students to, you know, link each concept back to those big ideas, which is NGSS. I mean, it's big ideas, themes, that sort of thing. So I think it'll really help just organize everything moving forward to next generation science standards.
I have two questions. I see that this is a 2010 publication. It's already 2014. How long will we be using this book, and how will it stay current? I mean, I'm just reading the information from the...
Yeah.
So,
so this one's 2012.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if...
it just says 2010 here.
Okay. I mean, copyright on this is 2012.
Okay.
So I don't know if that...
Is that the newest edition?
Or, for this one, yes.
When's the next one due?
I don't know. I'm not sure when the next one's due. I did talk to the curriculum specialist at Pearson recently. Yeah, I'm not sure.
But so, I mean, could it be in 2014?
So there's, you know...
in 2012.
I don't know how that's...
You should ask, I mean...
I can kind of speak to that. I know we use Pearson in AP Bio and Bio and Earth Science also. And with AP Bio, they will come out with a new edition sometimes every 2 years, but it's not really very different. So I wouldn't imagine, I think this is the one that they've designed really to go forward in the direction that the AP Bio redesign that went in, and pretty much all of the new science books are going in. So because it's chemistry, it shouldn't go out of date very quickly as long as you have the correct sequence. I don't know that we're going to put a lot more elements on the table that are really important in the near future. So I don't think that's going to be a big concern. One of the things that's really nice about this book that we don't have with this old one that they mentioned is that we do not have online books for every student with the old textbook. And we do in biology, and we will with this one, and that is huge.
And the online versions are updated.
They are updated.
Right, so when you access the resource online, you're going to always have the most updated resource.
And my experience with Pearson, too, was that they were happy to give me updated resources whether I was buying the new text or not, because I had their old text. And they've been very good about that.
Have you talked to anybody who's currently using this text? Were you able to chat with anybody who is?
No.
I mean, it's... Okay.
So we approached it, we took, I think we had 3 to 5 different books we looked at.
Yeah.
We narrowed it down to 3 that we liked, and then we really focused on how we were going to sequence the material, and this one was the one that almost matches perfectly the sequence. And that almost piece isn't significant enough to change the way we teach.
Could I ask, you say online, so they're not ebook chapters that are available to students, they have to be connected to the web to utilize the books? It's strictly online, there's no caching, there's no PDF or...
Did they get a CD?
Is there a digital edition that they can put on their device?
There is a CD.
That wouldn't be the textbook, right? That's
No,
supplementary.
no. I
Oh,
mean,
well,
the one
ours
that...
is.
It is?
Yeah, The CD does contain the textbook.
Well, I just would ask, and
That's something we could
as I
ask.
ask every year, every time we talk about books anyway, is are we sure we're getting the most we can from the vendors for accessing all the goodies, and that it's really there and somebody's checked to make sure you can get it, not just a promise, because this has been a perennial problem.
That's one of the reasons we thought Pearson was a good bet, because we do have experience with them with other science books, and they have upheld their end of everything.
Good to hear. Thank you for your analysis. It really helps us to hear why you chose it and the drawbacks. I'd like to know how the previous version was defended. We'll let it go for it.
Do the students carry that, excuse me, do the students carry that book back and forth and back and forth? Because it's
Hopefully
huge.
not. They carry this one back and forth. We're hoping to get a class set of this one where they won't have to carry it back and forth. We'll have a class set at home so they can leave their book at home and keep.
If they have web access.
We don't have.
If they have to keep one book at home.
Yeah, we don't
They'll
have
still
enough
have
of
to have a
these.
hard copy.
And they'll have a
Yeah.
hard copy.
At home too?
Yeah, the hard copy would stay at home.
And so the additional books would be 60 extra books to have a class set, or maybe 67 or something. Currently, we don't have enough of this, so they're carrying this one back and forth right now.
Is there a system in place for lost textbooks?
They pay for them, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to know.
Yeah. It's expensive.
Yeah, administration is after those kids every year. I'm sure it's like one of their least favorite parts about the end of the school year.
That's, yeah.
And how much is a book like that cost?
I mean, like $80.
This one's 95.
Probably more.
95.53.
What, that one. Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Yep, I'll give you that 53 cents.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm James Barnes, Social Studies Department Chair, and I'm very pleased to be able to be here tonight adopting textbooks for my department. When I first came to Half Moon Bay High School in 2001, I got a shiny new textbook for geography that had only been ordered the year before, and now and I had a baby boy, and now my baby boy is going to high school next year. My beard has turned white, and I've still got the same textbooks. And they're not looking so good. I think for the geography textbook that Mr. Olson's going to talk about in a second, we actually quite like it and have been using it for years, but at some point it reaches the point of physical deterioration to the point where we can't continue on anymore. Every year, we lose books every year, and I try to order a few of them. I look at Amazon, I look at various places, and they're getting harder to find. Even just individual textbooks here and there are getting harder to find. So I was very, very pleased when Allison Silvestri suggested, look, we can get these. Let's see if we can get these. And Jared Dooley has really helped us get through the process of doing the textbook adoption forms and getting this process, and thank you to Elizabeth for getting us here tonight. So I'll turn this over to Mr. Olson first, I guess, with our World Geography textbook.
Okay, good to see everybody.
Hello.
So as Mr. Barnes said, and I came a year after him, the books were still kind of shiny when I came on board. The books are becoming dated. I think we have some countries in our book that no longer exist. I don't think the USSR is in here, but we have Zaire, which is now the Democratic Republic of Congo. Just to give you an idea, and I didn't really try to find the worst looking one, I just grabbed one off the shelf, but they all kind of look like this. My favorite thing is the inside with the massive amount of names that have used the book. My favorite one is there's actually a comment in here, and one kid wrote that the book smells. I can't smell anything, so I don't know what he wrote, but basically we looked at 3 or 4 different books. I learned that the book industry people are not very good sales folks, because not many of them return my calls or emails when you're looking at a massive sale of the number of books we're looking to buy. We looked at TCI, which I know the middle school uses, and we tried to maybe have some continuity from the middle school, but the History Alive TCI books for high school are really too simple. Mr. Barnes and I looked it over and we had that conversation. We actually ended up coming back around to the same textbook. just a much newer edition of the same textbook. You know, and it kind of goes with the curriculum we built. What was that, James? 3, 4, 5 years ago when we got.
Yeah, when we redid it.
When we got A to G approved as a UC course for the 1 semester of World Studies. And so the way we wrote that curriculum kind of matches up with a newer edition of the textbook. Not that we don't want to recreate the wheel, but there was one book that just doesn't match at all what we do. It's a nice book, but it doesn't have some of the sections that we want to have about, the world of geography and how it works, economics, government systems, things that the kids need to kind of set the table for when they become sophomores and go into world history, and then eventually juniors and enter into U.S. history. So it's a very similar layout. It just doesn't have the USSR in there anymore. So there you go. So that's my little spiel. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Why are we so easy on us? I remember a couple of years ago, I met with you and James, and you showed me one of them that was literally falling apart.
I couldn't find that one. Either we've lost it or it's actually issued to a student who's carrying the book back and forth. It's falling apart.
I keep in my classroom, I don't give out to the students anymore.
Yeah. No, thank you for the guidance. It's important. It looks like we may have one of those books. There it is.
Here it is. And Andy Hoskins here, and I'll make this short and sweet. And I do believe that was it your daughter Allie? Yes. Same books that she had, and I think she was the first class that I had in 2003. Just an account. Well, we're still using them, and there's a couple reasons why we certainly need new books. Okay, first off, these are college books that are only meant to be used really for 1 semester or maybe 2 if you're lucky. So the bindings are just nasty. And this one, the student tried to return it without the inside. So that's like having a hot dog without the hot dog. Okay, so we definitely need new books, I think. And not only that, but the ones that we're using, this one is copyrighted 2003, and the other, 2002. And we're using some 3rd editions that are 2006. But right now, the College Board on their website does not recommend any of these books prior to 2007. So that being said, I do feel it's really imperative that we address this for the AP class. And this is the book we have now. It's the 5th edition of the same, and it's tried and true. And I really like it. The students have said that they liked it, so I'd like to hopefully adopt this. It's the AP edition too. I like that. Any questions? Okay.
Thanks for coming. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to say thanks to my department chairs and teachers for sticking it out. I really appreciate it. Nice job. The 3 textbooks will be leaving here in the district office for display, obviously in the front office. Thank you. I was going to hunt you down for that. So feel free to check out. We'll leave them with Elizabeth. Okay, so thank you guys for your time.
I do have a question, or maybe it's just a comment. I think we should have some of these head to Pilocitos too. I don't know if we've thought about that, or I think that's important to take a look at too.
It's a great idea. We'll team up and edit. Good. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So as Mr. Dooley said, the books will be on display for the public. Anyone can come in to review them over the next month. And we will bring this item back next month for final approval. We'll amend to put the 2012 version of that book so that we have the most current edition. And we will amend to make sure that we have enough books to include Pillarcitos.
Great. Thanks. Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, next, number 12, communications. If I may oppose upon my fellow board members, or one of them, Our dedicated student rep has a AP test tomorrow, and we need to get her home to study. So I'd like to flip student board member from B to A. Fair enough?
Absolutely. Okay.
Brenda, you're on.
Yeah, okay. So, this is actually my last official board meeting with you guys. Next board meeting, May 29th, I will switch spots with Irma Ramos, who is in the audience tonight.
Hello, welcome.
I didn't get reports from any other schools, so all I have is Half Moon Bay. We had the Teacher Appreciation Week this week, hosted by Leadership Class. We start off with Muffin Monday. We welcome teachers back from the weekend with muffins. Tuesday we had teacher lookalikes, so on our school website, students got to look at the slideshow with the teacher and their student lookalike, so that was really fun. Yesterday was Way Back Wednesday, so teachers provided a baby picture, so students were able to look on the website and watch a slideshow of babies. Today we hosted a barbecue for the teachers, and we had Miss Silvestri's dad and his friend come up to help us do the barbecue along with Leadership Class. Tomorrow we have teacher polls and name acronyms. Students got to vote for their teacher polls. There was one, they're ranging from messiest desk, best penmanship, most likely to know what's going on around the school.
That's not the teacher.
And then each leadership student was assigned a teacher's name. We have to make an acronym, so we decorate it for them, and that's going to be our gift to them tomorrow. We put it in a frame, so hopefully they like them. AP is this week and next week. I have both Friday AP testing, so that'll be fun. Talent Battle is next Friday from 7 to 9. I emailed Dr. Shuck wondering if either she or anyone on the board would like to be one of our guest judges at the Talent Battle next Friday night. Senior class won Class of the Year competition, so they are getting their celebration May 23rd after lunch, or during lunch, and I believe 5th and 6th. Spanish Town is going to be catering food for them, so they're looking forward to that. That's all I have. CST juniors finished that. That was not fun, but we got to do EAP on that, so we'll see the results for that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for serving.
Good luck, Brenda.
Good luck with the test. Yes. Right.
Good luck.
Good luck. So, board member communications. Anybody want to jump into the fray?
I have nothing.
I just want to say that thank you to the people who spoke today at public comment. I also, Armando is not here now, but I want to let him know that I heard him at least in terms of having translators here available. So we'll be working on our communication aspect of our strategic plan, and I think that's going to be a really important aspect of that. And Allison, we are really, really sorry to see you go. I'm sure there'll be a more formal time to wish you well with your new appointment, but I'm sure you'll be learning a lot and enjoying your time. And I hope you've always felt supported by us, because I feel like we really have supported you, and we really appreciate all the work that you've done for this community and high school and all the students. Thank you.
Here. Absolutely.
I just do have one thing. Will Mike and Gloria stay here while you go? We'll put it
Depends on the AP proctor need and
we'll put it in appeal.
Yeah, they'll be happy to come back and help.
Great, thank you, Fran.
Well, I share the same sentiment, of course. And I also want to, I've been going to Half Moon Bay baseball games. My godson has been playing. And I noted a really interesting additional element besides the spectacular field and this great enthusiastic team and coaching. I started to hear play-by-play radio broadcast, and it was done so well, and I was eavesdropping and listening, and I just wanted to recognize Mr. Olson, I guess Patrick, for his participation in doing that. Here he is being an awesome educator, and at the same time, you know, he's the Johnny Miller. He's calling baseball. I mean, what a wonderful addition to our sports program. And, wanted to mention that. Appreciate that.
He's also the voice of USF basketball.
That's right. That's right. He gets a lot of practice.
Well, he has a Facebook page. I might like him now.
Oh, well, there it is.
Go for it.
You're thoroughly modern.
I just have one short comment.
Please.
You may have noticed that the board members are wearing badges today. And it's to indicate our support for upcoming Measure B, which, as you all, I think, know, helps support counselors and teacher salaries. And it's a very important part of keeping this district as good as it can be, if not better. And since you were going to mention that, I don't know, but we're wearing this because we...
That wouldn't be like me, but maybe.
Everybody in here believes in the need for the parcel tax and helps to encourage everybody they know to also believe in it and support it as a revenue stream for our district. Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to thank Allison for, I think the right word is relentless leadership. Seems like you're everywhere all the time and you work so hard and have had a huge impact. We hate to see you go, but best of luck, of course. We had an exciting week, Tony and I, last week. We got to spend some time with frankly, a lot of folks that are in the room today. About 23 teachers at the high school and I think about 15 or so at Cunha. Just a roundtable for to ensure the teachers have a voice and know that they're heard, and just part of our ongoing efforts to understand what's happening in the classrooms and in our culture, and just so that we have the insight, and I'm sure that we'll share it with the board later tonight, to make good decisions. And that's same with hiring processes and things that were mentioned tonight. Is, we're about transparency, direct communication, everybody having input, whether that's translators, make sure ELAC is heard, or any other groups. If you look at every process we have oversight committees, and people are and the community are engaged. So that's always welcomed. Of course, yes, Measure B, it is critical. $26 million budget. That's 1.7 million of it. If it doesn't happen, it has a catastrophic impact to this district. Just black and white as it can possibly be. So please get out and vote and put a yard sign in your yard. And just lastly, I just want to recognize a great loss in the community, Eddie Andrini Sr. Very, very sad and unfortunate, and really an icon in the community, committed community member to the schools. I sat across from him talking about issues myself, and of course in the aeronautic and aerial community as well. And, maybe there's an opportunity a little further down the line to look at as we find different things for students to be involved in, maybe a scholarship in his name for someone who's interested in airplane mechanics or piloting career or whatever the case may be. But that's down the line. I just wanted to recognize that as well. So that's all for me. Tony.
I just have two items. The ones as a little bit of a lengthy topic. Last spring, Assistant Superintendent John Corey and I attended an event called Beyond Newtown. Yes, in reference to the Newtown, Connecticut incident where, incident's understatement. Unfortunate event where it was a school shooting, and we all know how many young children lost their lives in that. And the event was organized by Congressman Jackie Spear in collaboration with San Mateo County Supervisors Don Horsley and Adrienne Tissier, as well as the County Office of Education. And the focus was really to engage various agencies across the county, including law enforcement, fire safety, education, mental health, and county legal, to collaborate and develop systems to ensure that those types of events, school shootings, do not happen in our community. This past week, Mr. Corey and I attended a follow-up meeting to get an update on the work that collectively the group has accomplished over the past year. There are three strands to the work that we're doing. The first is to update emergency response protocols for all schools. Mr. Corey is a member of that planning team. Right now, every police agency, every fire agency, every school district has a different set of protocols. We're fortunate. We only work with the county sheriff's department. We only work with CAL FIRE, but some districts, San Mateo Union High School District, for example, works across 7 law enforcement agencies. And it's really gratifying to see that in this short year they've developed protocols that all stakeholders have agreed to follow and will be incorporated into our emergency plans, not just schools, but law enforcement, fire safety, etc., across the county. Same language, same actions, no matter what school, no matter what neighborhood. The second item is to improve mental health support for schools. We had a representative from County Mental Health attend the board's sports meeting earlier this year and talk about a program to provide greater training and resources to schools to recognize students who are in crisis. And Alyssa Fireman, who is a teacher on special assignment at Hatch, has taken advantage of that training, and in fact, shortly afterwards, found herself involved with a student at Hatch who was in a pretty dire situation and heading towards crisis. And her training kicked in and allowed her to work effectively with that team. And while we were there, we actually saw her give a testimonial via video that the group is using. And it was pretty moving to see not only one of our own being highlighted, but how important this training was for her ability to assist this family and child. And the last group is about information sharing. I'm a member of that team. And one of the things that communities have found out, that the more that they know about these students who are in crisis, the more easy it is to provide wraparound services for them. But if the school district knows this little piece, mental health knows this little piece, law enforcement has a little piece right over here, but until you bring all those pieces together and get the broad picture of these students, regardless of 99.9% of communities are never going to experience these tragedies, but 100% of our communities have students who are hurting and need services. So there are, privacy laws, HIPAA, et cetera, makes this kind of sharing problematic. But in communities like San Diego, Los Angeles, Georgetown, for example, these communities have found ways to do this. And so we're creating a memorandum of understanding and looking through the law. We have county legal helping us through this process so that we can have more opportunity to share information and be able to respond in a more timely way to provide intervention for students as a county, as a full county, not just as a school district, not just as a police agency. And then the other topic is I'd like to again acknowledge Kings Mountain for their tremendous news that they received in this past week or so. Their application for distinguished school status was approved by the State Department of Education. They're going to Disneyland. This is the third time the school, literally, this is the third time the school has been recognized as a distinguished school, and you may have noticed at the review published a very nice story. Julie, if she's still in the audience, there she is, the author, thank you very much, on the topic. So just kudos to Kings Mountain, and again, Mr. Corey, as the principal of Kings Mountain, kudos to you as well. And then just, in closing, this is not scripted. I just want to echo many of the comments we've heard tonight regarding Allison Silvestri's departure. She is, without question, the hardest working person in the building. She is deeply ingrained in the fabric of the Half Moon Bay High School community. I really cannot imagine Half Moon Bay High School without her, but I know that we will need to do that. Allison, congratulations. I know that this move is in your best professional interest. Don't be a stranger, and again, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tony. So number 13 is consent items. Can I get a motion to approve the consent items as presented?
So moved.
And a second?
Second?
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So approved. All right, 14, action items. Number 1, adopt recommendations 1 through 5 from the Emergence Study Group report to the governing board.
I move the table.
Okay. The second?
I second it. I think that we need to do some further study, get some more data before we make any adoption. So I second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll table 14A. 14B, approve the Half Moon Bay High School football and track improvement project. Do you have a motion to approve the project? Oh, sorry, yeah, do we do this, do we vote first or take the speakers first?
You can do the motion first,
Right.
but not take the vote.
Right, okay, so have a motion? Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, great. Thank you. So on 14B, we actually have 3 folks on the topic. So John Olam, you still here? Yes, that is the endurance at work, yes.
Thanks for having me. My name is John Ullum. Okay, I'm just kind of getting up to speed on this particular issue. Don't really have an opinion on whether you should replace the football field or not. It's kind of interesting that your current football field is newer than the textbooks these guys were showing you. I think that should be part of your priorities, maybe thinking about that. But at any rate, I am concerned about transparency in governments, decisions being made for logical and verifiable reasons. And I was showing the agenda, and it conflicted, something in it conflicted pretty strongly with what I had from the city. There's a comment in here, district staff has also been advised by the Half Moon Bay that that the project will not require a CDP. That's just, on the coast side, no CDP or doing something, that's shocking. And so I checked with the city. And we provided some information that nobody at the city has heard this. Nobody in City Hall is aware of it. The planning department doesn't know anything about it. And this is straight from the city clerk. And I've worked with Siobhan in a lot of PRAs, and if she says it, she believes it's true. I mean, she follows up on this stuff. She's commented that I ask for things that just don't exist, and so she works really hard to find them and apparently this did not exist. In fact, it was commented on that there doesn't seem to be any CDP for any work that's ever been done at the football field. Not for the lights or for the previous field that you built 9 years ago or anything like that. And so I'm wondering, is your staff giving you accurate information? Do you really think this is a smart thing to count on in view of what I'm being told by the city and the kind of trouble that other agencies have gotten in around here because of not following rules? And then I noticed that your staff advises you don't need to go for CEQA. Now, I don't know why they would say that. Maybe it's a valid reason. Maybe there's a good reason for that. But shortcuts have gotten people in a lot of trouble on the coast side. And I realize, I'm fairly conservative. I think some of the rules are just flat out ridiculous. But they are the rules. And you're going to have to think about, in the process of how you do this and other things, are you setting a good example for the students that you wouldn't really accept certain shortcuts from, like this? If Siobhan is right, we'll be following up on it. We'll see if we can find these CDPs, find this information. I'll be filing a PRA asking who had this conversation with them,
And, maybe there's just a total misunderstanding and you guys can explain it right now and save everybody a lot of trouble. But I would really, really be hesitant to rely on this advice. Thank you.
Okay, may I?
Certainly.
Okay, first off, the conversations with City Hall have included both the former city manager, Laura Sneidman, and the current interim city manager, and they're advised that a CDP is not required. We will be, yes, we will be, once the project is approved, prior to a project being approved, you do not take actual documentation to City Hall, at least in school business, in the school business
So
realm.
there will be an attempt to get CDP?
There, we, as soon as this is approved tomorrow, we will provide the city with a full set of plans and ask for for them to give it to us in writing that the CDP is not required. If the city determines that a CDP is required, then we will submit all documentation that they request. In terms of CEQA, we have not determined that CEQA is not appropriate. We will file a negative declaration under CEQA. We will follow the appropriate process under CEQA. So neither one, but again, we cannot file that document until this project is approved. We anticipate filing the negative declaration in Redwood City tomorrow.
I was just surprised that Siobhan would be so adamant that nobody in the planning department, nobody at City Hall, and I know Mr. Schillinger, and he knows that he's not on top of everything around here because he's temporary, and he follows up on everything. He's really, I hope the city hires him. So I'm surprised that he wouldn't have passed that on to Ms. Smith, that, because she knows that in particular, that I am suspicious of negative responses where I'm told that this information I figure should exist just doesn't exist.
Well, it doesn't exist because the documents haven't been filed yet. And we're out of sequence in terms of filing documents.
Okay, well, I'm just reading what's on your staff report, and your staff report clearly says you don't need to do it. But I'm glad.
Well, we've been advised that we don't need to do it.
Yeah, as I said, they clearly tell you don't need to do it, but you are going to do it.
We're going to submit the documents and ask for them to provide us a letter in writing that we do not need to go through the CDP process. If they do not provide us, we anticipate receiving that letter. If we do not receive that letter and they instead make a decision that we do need to follow the CDP process and submit, then we will do so.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
All right, Harvey Rohrbeck.
Harvey Rohrbeck. I live on Pine Avenue. I'm a director of the Coastside Fire Protection District, but I'm speaking as a private citizen. And a private citizen who's concerned about the environmental impact of this project. And the fact that basically, from what I understand, it just came out of the blue in terms of approval. It's not clear that there really is exempt from CEQA. It's probably not clear that it doesn't need a CDP, but there's this enormous rush to get this project going. And I don't think I have to remind you, the last time the city tried to get a project through without a CDP that they needed, it cost over $300,000 for the city. So I urge you to not only think about complying with CEQA, applying for a CDP, and then lastly, I see nothing about ADA compliance. And this is a football field where you really want to know that disabled people have a chance to go and participate. And so ADA compliance to me is an important part of this project, which as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, has been completely ignored. So I urge you to do the right thing for the environment for this project. Thank you.
All right, and last.
Certainly. This project is deemed a repair and replacement project. We are not creating a new football field. We are simply returfing the existing field. We're not changing any of the terrain. Our recommendation from our DSA certified inspector is that as a repair and replacement project, doesn't qualify for DSA submittal, where therefore ADA issues would be involved. If we were working in the area of seeding, we were working in the area of changing terrain, if we were making any topographical changes to the project, then all of those would apply. But this is a repair and replacement of existing turf.
Sid, yeah.
Carlisle Ann Young, Moss Beach. That's my legal name. I go by Sid. Superintendent and board members, before you vote to approve this project, I do have some questions. As a homeowner whose property will be funding this from Measure S funds, which the CUSD has levied on my property tax bill. So one of the things that I heard you say was that Laura Snyderman, or the interim city manager, had given you the heads up on, the thumbs up on not having to have it. Is that what I heard?
Both of them have.
And so why has there been no public discussion regarding the materials, the design, and the accessibility so far?
This project has been under design. This is the first opportunity for public review and public comment on the project. So it's here right now.
This was the last item on the agenda after 9 o'clock at night. That's it? There's not going to be a public meeting somewhere during times when most people could make it?
This project was vetted through an extensive master planning process that took all of last year, where extensive community input was provided. So this is not a project that suddenly appeared tonight. It's been a project that's been in play and under discussion for almost 2 years.
It just seemed like it came kind of out of the blue under the radar, but I could be wrong. So I was confused, as was Harvey and John, that the staff report concludes that they're going to be exempt from a coastal development permit. In fact, on the staff report, it says that they've been advised by the city of Half Moon Bay. Of course, that's not a person, so you've clarified who you said that would be. The planning department was recently outsourced, as you probably know. So they don't have a person there, they have a contract agency now, and they're a consultant from over the hill. So I was just curious if the planning department had given you that information, one of those consultants. You've heard it directly from the city manager.
That is correct. My only contact has been with both the former city manager and with the interim.
Okay. And are you aware about the Kehoe Ditch lawsuit?
Me personally?
Yeah, I mean, you're new here. I think Gaskell was here before, right? Were you a Half Moon Bay resident when that was going on? So did you know what the issues were on it?
I'm not aware of it, so no, I don't know what the issues are.
Point of order. Yeah, can we, Ms. Young?
Yes. Oh,
that seems off topic from this football field project. Any questions about that? We're welcome to take and engage in, but not a totally unrelated topic.
Well, as a taxpayer, homeowner, property owner in the district, you know, the city of Half Moon Bay had to reimburse legal fees to the plaintiff in lieu of possibility of $1,000 per day fine, starting from when the work began due to a failure to obtain the required CDP. So that is kind of on topic. And I just feel like you need to be leaders and fulfill, not circumvent your responsibilities regarding the environmental requirements. In other words, why haven't you upheld your obligation to ensure this project complies with all the public resources codes, including CEQA and ADA? The risk could cost the district and the property owners undue legal fees by omission to obtain the necessary required permits. Is it just to cut corners and save money? That was my first impression. And I kind of find it inexplicable that the master plan does not separate into two different projects, the expanded parking lot, which really is only referred to as concrete and asphalt paving, and refurbishing and separating it from refurbishing the field and track. Can you explain that?
The master plan, this project does not include improvements to the parking lot. This project only includes, I mean, regardless of how the master plan outlines the projects and does lump those two together.
If I'm looking at the staff report here, right down here, it says the project consists of grading, base rock construction, concrete and asphalt paving, track and field events. I'm not sure what those are as far as construction goes. Sports equipment, furnishing and installation, electrical conduct. It's in the staff report.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I meant is, you know, if they're going to.
That's all part and parcel to the resurfacing process.
Okay, so they're resurfacing what with asphalt and concrete?
It's the underlayment area of the football field. There's no
parking lot in this.
There is no parking lot part of this.
Okay. I must have read somewhere else they were going to improve the fire lane or something. And that might have been in the master plan facilities analysis that I read.
Which is not part of this project.
Well, the project was listed in the facilities plan.
That is correct, but we're not doing the project as it's described.
Okay.
We're only doing the football field
Okay, so there's
portion
no
of it.
expansion to any parking or egress and ingress during this, okay?
Correct.
And so last, I was kind of wondering, how much is this budgeted to cost us? Since I've heard complaints from some of the classrooms don't have sufficient heat, and it seems to me that replacing a 9-year-old field seems like the priorities are skewed. Wouldn't the money for an impervious parking lot, which you now say they're not having, would be a lot better spent on various building systems that require maintenance per the facilities master plan? I would take properly heated classrooms over sports field improvements any day. They did say that there's lack of heat or very cold classrooms.
All of those are being addressed through our through our facility master plan.
Well, I think this
Ms.
master
Young,
plan
we
said it was
typically
on-
allocate 3 minutes for
Oh, yeah,
comment.
I know, I noticed that line of people with textbooks were cut off too.
Yeah, so if you could continue the last thoughts, but.
I am finished. I just wanted to say that that my reply to him was, this is rated priority 1 on here. And so it's kind of hard to read it, but it says track build out field events if this is, I don't know if you can read that, but you know the word, that last little word there. Okay. Well, it looks like it's under priority 1, so I was just curious about that.
I just wrap by saying I think Dr. Rourke did a very clear explanation of how we will be engaging and planning this project with guidance required by regulations, and that's under the support of the board, and we'll do everything to the letter of the law. That's how we operate.
Absolutely.
When you apply for it, once you vote on it to approve it, you'll go down to City Hall, and then they'll tell you whether you need a CDP and a CEQA.
Well, we don't anticipate getting that response tomorrow, but
Okay.
we will provide them with a full set of plans and the request for the letter verifying what we've been told. We will also file the appropriate CEQA documents tomorrow.
Okay, that's good enough for me, thank you.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Discussion items, we have none tonight. Future board agenda items, preliminary CUSD budget and adoption, public hearing for local control accountability plan, public hearing for textbook adoption, quarterly report on Williams uniform complaints, policies, maintenance updates, and recognition of retirees at the next meeting. And we have future events coming up, May 12th, Measure S Oversight Committee meeting. The 12th, the 15th, Youth Summit, very exciting, it was mentioned earlier tonight.
And I hope we're planning on going. Aren't we expected, aren't we given jobs? Wasn't that what
That's what I heard.
Yeah, that we've all got a job for the youth summit.
What's the date?
The
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday, it's from 3 to 5.
If you show up, they'll put you to work.
Yes.
That was the
Yeah.
message.
Hatch Elementary has their school art show and open house on the 15th as well, and El Granada has their open house as well. 17th at Fairlawn View, talent show and dinner. Freya, I know you're fired up about Oceans Week at Fairlawn View. And the talent show, yes, I'm sorry. We have on the 21st, Boys and Girls Club Community Unity Dinner at the Oceana Hotel. May 22nd, Los Listos Promotion Ceremony. I believe you'll be there, Mr. Rainier, is that correct? Do
I
recall
believe
that?
it too.
All right, May 22nd, ELAC meeting at Cunha. Busy month. May 22nd, Half Moon Bay High School Awards Night. May 26th is a holiday, excellent. Middle school graduation. And on May 27th.
Can I ask a question related to, will I have somebody with me at Phillips?
I said middle school, but I meant middle college. Go ahead.
Well, I have to address, generally I have to address the, the body, and last year
Well, you want to translate.
What was the
I
question?
would, yes, I
You want
would,
to translate.
I would love to have a translator if I'm the only representative there.
At the ELAC meeting, is that what you're saying?
Well, it's-
Oh,
I thought you were talking about the,
Los Listos?
Los Listos.
Los
Because I'm
Listos.
doing that one too.
Yes, no, I hadn't said Pillarcitos.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need a translator for that.
All right, beautiful. 28th is Fairland View Dinner and Art Show and Open House, and 29th, Migrant Ed Pack meeting, and the 29th, another board meeting. So that's it for that. We are going to adjourn back to closed session. And we are going to go longer than 10. I need a motion to go past
So
curfew.
moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.